I'm Tengku Hanisah Syarah.
Hi, I am Siti Sarah.
My name is Nurul Nini Aqira, binti Kamarul Zaman.
My name is Nurul Faqihah, binti Mohd Zin.
So, I will start to present the service learning group project. The table of the contents, which is the introduction, the risk management process, and the reflection and conclusion. So my part is the introduction and the risk management process, which is establish the context. So the first part is the introduction. What the project is all about. So this project explores the potential service learning to accomplish academic and civil learning, as well as cultivate student journey appreciation for teamwork. Provide the service that is on the management of risk to the business lectured. Identify any risks arise from the business lectured from different of risk categories, and the duration of the project is within 1 month. So this is the business background that we choose, which is the business name is Kumat Haniff Wiring Auto Service. The owner of the business is Haniff. The business activities are selling, repairing and changing the battery, starter, alternator and the other parts for automobile and transport. The year of established is in June 2017. So this is the business objective, is to provide the best automobile service to the societies that near to the place of the business, to generate daily income by repairing the customer automobiles, to provide the service with good product and high quality, to provide the good environment at the workshop, and to ensure the good working practice at the workshop. So this is our team members, which is me as the project risk manager, Siti Sarah and Nurul Faqihah as the risk analyst 1 and 2, while Nurul Nini as the operational risk manager. The second part is the risk management process. The first one, establish the context. So to analyze the business, we use the SWOT analysis and the PASS analysis. The next one is the risk criteria. So we use the likelihood versus impact. So this is the score and the description for each likelihood and the impact. In order to find the risk level, we times the likelihood with the impact. So this is the range of the risk level and the description for each the range of the risk level. To analyze the risk, we use the risk that forms financial risk, operational risk, strategic risk, and environment risk.
Now, we are at the risk assessment process, which include these 3 sub-steps, which are risk identification, identify the potential events might hurt a particular business objective, risk analysis basically involve risk rating to each of the risks identified, and lastly, risk evaluation. We evaluated what to decide based on risk analysis, which risk requires a response. Okay, there are 3 tools and techniques we use to identify the risk. The first one is interview, second one brainstorming, and lastly meeting. Okay, there are 3 close competitors to Kumat Haniff Wiring Auto Service. First one is other branches that sell battery cool, Chiseng Auto Spare, and EME Dungun Tire Shop. Okay, this is sales and profit trend. We can see that from this graph, there is no specific movement, which is no pattern and no trend. There are down and up movement along the day. Okay, now we move to the first sub-steps, which is risk identification. From risk identification, we managed to list 16 potential risks for Kumat Haniff Wiring Auto Service in total. Okay, from interview, we managed to list X potential risks might hurt Kumat Haniff Wiring Auto Service. The first one is gain the less profit, new competitors, defective product, sealing with termites, manual handling, increase the monthly expenses, exposure to noisy workplace, and lastly, unexpected actions by the competitors. Okay, from the brainstorming, we managed to list these 4 potential risks, which are disruptive technologies, high power consumption, rubbish with sharp objects, unexpected changes of customer preferences. Okay, from meeting, this is the potential risks, which are extreme temperature, use of sharp tools, poor housekeeping, unsatisfied customer. Okay, now we move to the second sub-steps, which is risk analysis. Okay, from risk analysis, we rate the likelihood and impact. For example, the risk of gain the less profit. This 3 is the likelihood and 2 is the impact, while 6 is the risk level. So 3 times 2, we get 6 risk level. Okay, the green color is very low risk. Yellow color for risk level is medium risk. orange color is high risk, while red color is extremely high risk. Okay, from this risk level, we can see that gain the less profit, defective product, and sealing with termites have the same likelihood, same impact, and same risk level, while the new competitors only two risk level, which is very low risk, which is one likelihood and two impacts. From meeting, all the potential risks have the same risk level, which is medium risk level, 4, 3, and 6. Okay, now we move to the last sub-steps of risk assessment process, which is risk evaluation. Okay, for the risk evaluation, we evaluate based on the risk analysis. We can see that gain the less profit, defective product, and sealing with termites is acceptable, but need treatment when resources are available. So we can see that all of these potential risks are acceptable. From this, we can see that all of the risks are not acceptable except for increase the monthly expenses. By the potential risk here, we can see that all of this is acceptable, but need treatment when resources are available, except for poor housekeeping, since the risk level is very low risk. Okay, for this, there are disruptive technologies and rubbish with sharp objects are acceptable, but need treatment where resources are available, but high power consumption and unexpected changes of customer preferences are not acceptable, since action plans require.
So we move to the next part, which is the risk treatment. So basically, in this particular part, we are proposing the list of treatment that we can use in order to reduce or minimize the impact of the risk or the losses. Alright, so in this part, we are identifying 4 categories of risk that we managed to recognize in Mohd Haniff wiring atau services, which is the first one is the financial risk, the second is the operational risk, the third is the strategic risk, and the lastly is the environment risk. So now we go through what kind of risk that we manage to identify. So in the financial risk part, these are the types of risks that occur or arises in the Mohd Haniff. So the first one is gain less profit. So the treatment that we use is reduce the risk, where we proposing the Mohd Haniff can operate the workshop to home. So the second risk is they increase the expenses monthly, where it also reduce the impact of the risk, which is they can minimize the usage of the electrical supply. So the next part, which is the operational risk, the first one is the defective products, where normally they receive the defective products from their supplier. So we want to avoid this risk, which is the Mohd Haniff need to make a contractual agreement with supplier, right? So the next part, which is poor housekeeping for important files. So we want to avoid the risk, which is the misplaced important files and others. So the Mohd Haniff need to manage the files regularly and arrange accordingly by month. So it will become easy for them to search and find the important parts, which is the important files in their workshop. So next, which is the strategic risk. The first one is the unsatisfied customer problems, which is we want to avoid these particular problems, where the Mohd Haniff need to use only a good quality of products in order to perform their services. Right, so the next one is new competitors, where in the area there is a lot of new competitors that is arises. Okay, so we want to avoid the losses of the customers. So the Kuman Haniff need to increasing the marketing and sales strategies. Alright. So the lastly is the environment risk, where the first one is the extreme temperature in the Kuman Haniff services, where we need to reduce the impact or the risk of this particular part, which is the Kuman Haniff needs to constructing an outside roof. Right. So the lastly is the ceiling full with termites, where in this part we also want to reduce the risk of the unpredicted risk that might arise, where the Kuman Haniff could use the termite exterminator in order to reduce the termites. Right, so I think that's all for this part. Thank you.
Okay, next, monitoring and review. So monitoring and review, we will discuss on these three parts, which is what to monitor, when to monitor, who should do monitor and review. So what to monitor, we discuss about operational risk, financial risk, strategic risk, and environment risk. So here are about the operational risk. We will monitor about the workplace safety, the tools, the important document, and under the financial risk, we will discuss on profit to make sure that the expenses does not exceed the total profit. And then the strategic risk, the area of the workshop, competitors, and technology. And environment risk, under the environment risk, we will monitor and review on the conditions of the workshop, sound, and sharp object. Alright, for the second part, when to monitor. So basically, most of the time, and we will divide it into these three parts, which is before the workshop open, while the workshop open, before the workshop close. So who should do monitor and review? Of course, the business owner itself and the employee, and due to this project, our team member. Alright. So the next part is consultation and communication. So we will use the WhatsApp application, which is we try to approach the business owner through WhatsApp message. This is the first step. And then we have a group voice call with our team to ask about the business background. And then we use Google Meet application. We call with the owner to monitor and review the risk. And then we set date to meet the business owner to look at the condition of the workshop. And then we give the consultation. And then after that, one of our team member meet the owner at the workshop place to identify and monitor the risk and give some suggestion on how to manage the risk well. Alright, so these are the pictures that we voice call, have a conversation with the business owner through WhatsApp and Google Meets. And then these are the pictures at the workshop that can involve the risk. This picture is captured by one of our team member at the workshop. So this is the worker leave the battery, the important document is not arranged well, and then the rubbish of sharp objects on the land, and then the ceiling with termites, and then we can see the extreme temperature where the worker exposed to the sunlight, and lastly, the using of the sharp tools. Okay, that's it.
For me, the service learning group project is very useful for our future studies, which is it teaches us how to construct the risk register, how to communicate with others in order to identify the risk arise from the business that we chosen. So I really enjoyed in doing this service, although in the COVID-19 pandemic.
From this service learning group project, we as a team managing the risk for Kuman Haniff Firing Auto Service, which we went through some of the process to manage the risk, such as risk assessment, risk treatment, risk monitoring, and so on. From this process, we learn how to manage the risk, and we hope that from this project will help the owner and ourselves increase our knowledge how to manage the risk.
Basically, throughout the journey of this service learning group process, I found a bit challenging for my team in the beginning in order to recognize the list of risks that might arise in a particular of business that we had chosen during this pandemic. But then, after we construct a comprehensive plan, the journey seems to be easier and interesting. In the meantime, by conducting this project, it gives the best experience and knowledge for me in order to recognize the unpredicted risk or event that might arise in the reality, that I could use it as my guidance in my future.
I think this project is very interesting, where I can share and apply my knowledge about risk management to other people. Indirectly, I actually can test myself whether I do understand or not on how to handle the risk. Last but not least, the interesting part is I learned a lot of knowledge on how to handle the risk management in the workshop, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic.